Have you ever noticed how some people take hours to respond to a message, but disappear off the face of the earth when the phone rings? While most complain about being ignored on WhatsApp, they seem terrified by the idea of answering a call. Is it just laziness? Or could it be that, behind this behavior, there is an emotional logic that we still don't understand? Before you judge, it's not frivolity, nor a lack of education. Not everyone is comfortable with the instantaneity of a voice on the other end of the line. For some people, messages are like sealed letters. They can be opened in their own time, analyzed, and responded to calmly. Already a call? It's an assault on mental deprivation, an invitation to improvise in a world where many prefer to rehearse every word. Just imagine, the phone rings, and suddenly you are thrown into an unscripted conversation, with no time to organize your thoughts. For those with social anxiety, this is like being shoved onto a stage without warning. The brain fires. What if I say something wrong? What if I don't know how to respond? What if the person notices that I'm nervous? The message, on the other hand, is a refuge. You can delete, rewrite, think before sending. It's control in a chaotic world. But it's not just fear. There are people who hate the sound of their own voice. Yes, that exists. Or who associate calls with bad news. After all, no one calls just to say hi anymore, unless it's something serious. Others grew up in families where phone calls were synonymous with fights, and the habit of avoiding them stuck. The brain learns, if I don't respond, I don't suffer. And so, silencing becomes self-protection. And there are also deep introverts, for whom a connection is an invasion of energy. They need time to process emotions, and a live conversation doesn't give them that luxury. Messages are like breaths between sentences. They allow the mind to work at its own pace. It's not that they don't want to talk, it's that they prefer to do it on their own terms. But here's the most interesting thing. This preference can reveal hidden wisdom. People who avoid phone calls often value quality over quantity. A well-thought-out message can be more sincere than an automatic "how are you" on the phone. They understand that not all communication needs to be immediate. Some things take on more weight when they have time to mature. If this is you, no, you are not antisocial or rudeness personified. Maybe I just discovered that silence is not empty, it is space. And that, in a noisy world, choosing when and how to communicate is an act of self-care. After all, it's not about ignoring others, it's about not ignoring yourself in the process. So, are you one of those people who prefer typing to talking? Comment here. What is your relationship with connections? If this text made sense, share it with those who always disappear when the phone rings. And if you want more reflections like this, turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Until next time, in writing, of course. Writing hand hash. Continuation of the original text, about preference for messages versus calls. What if I told you that you're not the problem, it's the phone? Think about it. When someone calls, you are obligated to perform. Smile in your voice, respond instantly, fill silences with empty words. Not a message. She breathes. It allows you to think, delete, rewrite, feel before sending. It's the difference between a forced monologue and a conversation in slow motion, where each word can be chosen with care or not sent at all, if the heart isn't there. There is a silent freedom in those who prefer to type. It's the freedom of not being interrupted by your own emotion, of not having to explain a sigh or a tone of voice that, unintentionally, would give away what is not yet ready to be said. It is the freedom to exist in stages, first, thought, then the answer. In a world that demands everything now, choosing your own pace is an act of resistance. And here's an uncomfortable truth. The people who read IGAM don't always want to talk, they want to fill their own void. A hi, how are you, at 10 p.m. is not about you, it's about whoever is on the other side needs to feel less alone. Messages, on the other hand, are reciprocity contracts. You respond when you can, without emotional debt. It's not cold, it's honest. You don't owe your attention to anyone, not even those who confuse affection with immediate availability. But be careful, this is not a rule. There are times when a voice is needed. When the longing is so great that the lyrics can't handle it, or when the subject is so delicate that only the tone of voice, that tremor, that pause, can carry the weight of it. Then, yes, the telephone makes sense. The secret is knowing when to be silent and when to speak. And that, my friend, is an art that few have mastered. If you are one of those who mute calls, but respond to each message with reflective paragraphs, no, you are not running away from the connection, you are deepening it. Because true connection is not measured in minutes of connection, but in meaning. A sentence written with intention is worth more than an hour of aha and yes on the phone. And there's more, those who choose their words carefully generally live them the same way. It's no surprise that people who prefer messages tend to be observant, strategic, even a little poetic. They understand that some things need to be decanted before they are said, like wine, like love, like anger. To rush is to betray the process. Now tell me, have you ever felt guilty for not answering? Or, worse, have you ever answered just out of obligation and left the call exhausted, as if you had donated a piece of your soul? Comment here, because we need to normalize that it is not selfish to protect your own energy. And if you know someone who always disappears but is present in other ways, share this text with them. It may be that this person just needs to hear that they are not wrong for preferring the silence that builds to the noise that empties. Oh, and before you go, turn on notifications so you don't miss the next reflections. Because we're going to talk about other taboos in modern communication, like the fact that sending audio is a form of violence, joke, or not. Writing hand / speech balloon. Analysis of techniques used in continuation. 1. Provocative hook. What if I told you that you're not the problem, it's the phone? Shifts the reader's blame to the medium, telephone, generating relief and curiosity. 2. Contrast between connection versus message. Link, forced to perform, forced monologue. Message, breathe, conversation in slow motion. Duality that makes the reader identify with one side. 3. Subtle social criticism. There is a silent freedom in those who prefer to type. Empowers behavior by associating it with resistance against modern haste. 4. Uncomfortable, but true, revelation. Callers don't always want to talk, they want to fill their own void. Provocation that makes the reader rethink past interactions. 5. Validation plus exception. But be careful, this is not a rule. There are times when a voice is needed. Balances the narrative, showing that there are no absolutes. 6. Powerful metaphors. A sentence written with intention is worth more than an hour of aha and that's right. Like wine, like love, like anger. Concrete images that fix the idea in the mind. 7. Ultimate empowerment. You're not running away from the connection, you're deepening it. Reinterprets behavior as something noble, not escapist. 8. CTA with an emotional purpose. Have you ever felt guilty about not answering? Personal question that generates engagement in the comments. Share with those who always disappear but are present in other ways. Indirect validation, this person is not wrong. 9. Colloquial tone plus philosophy. Mixes short, impactful sentences, to rush is to betray the process, with direct dialogue, oh, and before you go. Sounds intimate but deep. 10. Prom. This continuity. We're going to talk about other taboos in modern communication. Creates anticipation for the next content. Why does this style work so well? Reverse psychology. Instead of saying care more about your people, it validates those who don't care, generating relief and identification. Criticism of the status quo. Questions the social obligation to always be available, something that resonates with exhausted generations, millennials, Gen Z. Empathy plus provocation. Alternates between welcoming, it's not selfish, and nudging, sending audio is a form of violence. Cinematic rhythm. Short sentences, action, plus long paragraphs, reflection, equals reading that flows like a dialogue. Tattooable phrases. Excerpts like true connection is not measured in minutes are made to be saved and shared. How to apply this to other topics. Example 1. Why do some people take a long time to respond to messages? Hook. Have you ever sent a message and stared at that view 4 hours, feeling like an idiot? Spoiler. The problem isn't you. Contrast. Responding immediately is like signing a contract. I am at your disposal 24/7. Delaying is saying, my peace is a priority. Social criticism. The anxiety of waiting isn't yours, it's from a culture that has confused kindness with immediate availability. Empowerment. Taking time to respond is not rude, it is filtering what deserves your energy. Example 2. Why some couples don't post photos together. Hook. In a world where love only seems to exist if it's in the feed, they are the rebels, couples who don't post anything. Do they not love, or do they love too much to expose? Validation. No, they are not ashamed of you. They are jealous of their own intimacy. Metaphor. Posting is like opening a bedroom window, sometimes you just want the sun to come in, not the whole world to peek in. Impact phrase. The love that needs an audience is performance. What it doesn't need is art. Final tip. How to train this style. 1. Write as if you are angry with the status quo. Anger generates sharp phrases, e.g. your anxiety is not yours, it's from a sick culture. 2. Use questions that hurt. How many times have you answered a call just to avoid being called rude? 3. Turn flaws into superpowers. You are not antisocial, you are selective. And that is a gift. 4. Close with a sentence that sounds like a hug. If this makes sense, no, you are not alone. You are just ahead of your time. Next step, choose a badly seen social behavior, e.g. cancelling plans at the last minute, not liking hugs, hating surprise parties, and apply this structure. The secret is to validate, provoke, and empower in that order. So, which theme are you going to deconstruct now? White down pointing backhand index fire. Why some people cancel plans at short notice, and why it can be an act of self-love. Have you ever scheduled a meeting, a party, or even a simple coffee and, at the right moment, you received that "sorry, I can't handle it today"? The first reaction is frustration, or worse, so-and-so is non-committal, doesn't respect my time. But what if I told you that, often, this cancellation isn't about you? That behind that "I won't go" could be a "I need to save myself" that no one else heard. No, they are not selfish. They are honest. In a world where yes is the automatic response, even when the body screams no, saying no has become a revolutionary act. And cancel at the last minute. Sometimes it's the last gasp of self-preservation before collapse. What really happens behind the scenes? Imagine the scene. The person confirmed the plan, but in the days before, work stole her hours of sleep and now she is operating on 30% battery. Anxiety turned the relaxed meeting into a mental horror movie. What if I have nothing to say? The body gave signs, headache, exhaustion, but she ignored it until the limit burst. Or, the cruelest, she only realized at the time that she didn't want to go and I preferred. You take the blame for the cancellation and fake a smile for 3 hours. Their brain works like an emotional thermostat. When the internal temperature, stress, tiredness, overload, exceeds the limit, the system turns off everything, even commitments. It's not a lack of education. It's a survival mechanism. Why society hates people who cancel, and why it says more about us than them. We were taught that canceling is failing. That prioritizing yourself is selfish. That giving a helping hand, even when the arm is broken, is nobility. But who is really being unfair here? Have you ever tried too hard to not disappoint and ended up ruining everyone's night with your energy drained? Have you ever said yes out of obligation and spent the entire event counting down the minutes to leave? Have you ever felt like a burden because, technically, you were there, but mentally you were gone hours ago? The inconvenient truth: a sincere no is more respectful than a lying yes. Canceling at the last minute can be the most thoughtful act because it means, I'd rather disappoint you now than ruin the moment for both of you later. The hidden side: when cancellation is a cry for help. In some cases, this recurring habit hides something bigger. Depression or exhaustion. The body refuses social outings because it is in energy-saving mode, like a cell phone at 1%. Social trauma. Anyone who has ever been humiliated, ignored, or rejected in a group develops a conditioned fear of repeating the scene. Toxic self-demand. If I'm not perfect in the conversation, I don't deserve to be there. Energy incompatibility. Deep introverts don't recharge in crowds, they recharge in silence. Forcing them out is like forcing a fish to climb a tree. And the worst? We judge those who cancel, but we glorify those who put up with it even if that hero is destroying themselves inside. What sick society is this that prefers present bodies and absent souls? The art of cancelling responsibly, and why you should learn. If you're one of those people who hate cancelling, but do it often, here's a liberating truth. You are not a problem. The problem is a system that taught you that your limits are negotiable. But cancelling without guilt is a skill and, like every skill, it has unspoken rules. 1. Be honest, but not detail-oriented. Crossmark I'm sorry, I'm depressed, my life is rubbish, I can't take anything else. White heavy checkmark I need to recharge today, but I'll schedule another time. Thank you for understanding. Why? You shouldn't justify your mental health, but you also don't need to give ammunition to gossipers. 2. Compensate with actions, not words. If you cancelled dinner, send a funny audio or meme afterwards to show you care. The objective: to prove that the cancellation was not about the person, it was about you. 3. Have a plan B for yourself. If you cancelled a social commitment, replace it with something restorative, a long bath, a movie you've been putting off for months, a call to someone who really fills you with energy. Golden rule: never cancel a plan without offering something better for yourself. 4. Filter who deserves explanations. People who really know you will understand I'm not feeling well today without question. People who demand justification don't deserve your time, much less your exhausted energy. For those who suffer from other people's cancellations. If you're on the team that hates people cancelling on you, ask: do you prefer a physical presence with emotional absence, or a postponement until a time when the person is 100%? The quality of a meeting is not measured by punctuality, but by intensity. A 20-minute coffee with someone who is truly present is worth more than 3 hours of sitting bodies and distant minds. The silent revolution of those who dare to say no. Cancelling plans at the last minute is not rude. And courage to admit your limits matter. Respect for other people's time, because pushing the envelope only ruins everyone's experience. Self-knowledge to know that you are not an appointment scheduling machine. The world needs less automatic yes and more conscious no's. Because every time you honor your boundaries, you're teaching others how to treat you and, most importantly, you're treating yourself with the affection you deserve. A question to reflect on. How many times have you gone to a place just to avoid being called boring, and come home feeling emptier than before? What if, this time, you cancelled? Not out of rudeness, but out of self-love. Not out of lack of consideration, but out of excessive honesty. The world will not end. The people who matter will understand. And those who don't understand, maybe they don't deserve your yes anyway. If this made sense to you. Small blue diamond comment here: when was the last time you cancelled a plan and felt guilty? Or when someone cancelled on you and you understood, or didn't? Small blue diamond share with that friend who always disappears at the last minute, maybe they just need to know they're not alone. Small blue diamond save this text for the next time you need to remember, your well-being is non-negotiable. Until next time. Oh, and if you need to cancel our plans, I understand. Winking face.